I'm hooking another subscriber up with the Ghoulie camo. I mean, since Modern Warfare 2 is over, I want to be nice and, help you guys get this camo. So, we're starting out with the top 10 best loadouts in Warzone 2. We're using the BAS-P and TR to start out with. For the BAS-P, start out with a Lockshot KT85 for vertical and horizontal recoil control at the cost of some aim down sight speed and aiming stability. For the tuning, set the recoil control to 0.10 inches and the recoil stabilization to 0.28 ounces. Put on the VLK laser 7 MW for aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and sprint to fire speed at the cost of the laser being visible in ADS. Now, be careful of that. You don't want to just be ADSing non-stop because people are going to know where your laser is. For the tuning, set the aim down sight speed to negative 19.74 feet and the sprint to fire speed to negative 0.32 ounces. Put on the 50 round drum. There's no better alternative because this fire rate is incredibly fast and you want to make sure you have enough bullets to get the job done. Put on the Brune Flash V4 stock for sprint speed, aim walking speed, crouch movement speed, and aim down sight speed at the cost of aiming stability and recoil control. For the tuning, set the aim walking speed to negative 1.86 inches and the aim down sight speed to negative 2.71 ounces. Put on the Brune Flash grip for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed at the cost of recoil control. And the tuning, set the sprint to fire speed to negative 0.25 inches and the aim down sight speed to negative 0.61 ounces. Next, for the TR76 Geist, put on the 8-point flash hider for muzzle flash concealment and recoil steadiness at the cost of aim down sight speed and aiming stability. Set the gun kick control to 0.23 inches and the recoil smoothness to 0.35 ounces. Put on the Brune Bridle Heavy for recoil control, damage range, bullet velocity, and hip fire accuracy at the cost of aim down sight speed, movement speed, and hip recoil control. For the tuning, set the damage range to 0.25 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.50 pounds. Put on the 7.62 high velocity for bullet velocity at the cost of some damage range, which we're going to fix. For the tuning, set the bullet velocity of 9 GR and the damage range of 0.70 G. Put on the 45 round mag. If I could have more, I definitely would, but this is the only thing that we have. Never put on the Geist single tap mod because it's terrible. You never want to use it. I put on the AMOT V4. This is my personal preference. For the tuning, I maxed out the far distance. Next is the Kastov 762. I saw this get a lot of hate, but this is still amazing despite the nerfs. Put on the Taq and Tread 40 for vertical and horizontal recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed, aiming stability. For the recoil control, set to 0.11 inches and the recoil stabilization to 0.44 ounces. Put on the Lock Grip Precision 40 for hip fire accuracy, recoil steadiness, and aim walking steadiness at the cost of aim down sight speed. And you can actually tune this again, but it's not really necessary. There's nothing that you really need to tune. Put on the Cast 10 584mm barrel for damage range, bullet velocity, hip fire accuracy, and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip recoil control, and movement speed. For the tuning, set the damage range to 0.26 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.29 pounds. Put on the AMOT V4. This is my personal preference. You can use anything you want to, but this is what I like to use. Max out the far distance. And put on a 40 round mag unless you're playing multiplayer. If you're playing multiplayer, 20 is more than enough, but for Warzone, you want to have 40 because if you're against a team, you're most likely going to need the 40 bullets. 20, you're going to run out halfway. It's just not going to be good. The Lachmann sub is honestly still one of the meta SMGs. People call it the MP5. It's absolutely amazing. I think you guys should try this out. Put on the X10 RR40 for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed and aiming stability. For the tuning, you can increase the bullet velocity. As you guys see, it does have massive jumps. You should set it to around where it doesn't benefit anymore, around 0.38 inches. Recoil smoothness you can increase if you want to, and I would set it to around the 0.67 ounce range. 0.60s, 0.50s, that's pretty good. Beyond that, I don't think it's going to be that much helpful. Merc foregrip for hip fire accuracy, recoil steadiness, hip recoil control, and aim walking steadiness at the cost of hip walking speed and aim down sight speed. For the tuning, set the aim down sight speed to negative 0.27 inches and the hip walking speed to negative 0.44 ounces. I put on a 40 round mag. 50 just has too many cons. In my opinion, the cons are just perfect for 40, where you're going to be able to actually treat this like an SMG. If you put on the 50, your aim down sight and sprint to fire are just not going to be enough, and you're going to lose more fights than if you just have the 40. FT mobile stock for sprint speed, aim walking speed, crouch movement speed, and aim down sight speed at the cost of aiming stability and recoil control. For the tuning, set the aim walking speed to negative 1.47 inches and aim down sight speed to negative 3.23 ounces. EXF solar flare for flashlight, sprint to fire speed, and aiming stability. Now, this is much better in my opinion than the laser. That way, if you guys are in a well-lit area, the flashlight's not even going to matter, but you're still going to get the benefits as if you had the VLK laser 7W. The ISO 9mm is still meta in my opinion, and this build would definitely get the job done. Put on the X10 RR40 for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed and aiming stability. For the tuning, set the bullet velocity of 0.71 inches and their aim down sight speed to negative 0.77 ounces. Put on the 9-inch PTX trainer for damage range, hip fire accuracy, movement speed, and bullet velocity at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip recoil control, and recoil control. For the tuning, set the damage range of 0.30 inches and the recoil steadiness of 0.47 pounds. 50 round drum is the best possible choice in my opinion. If you have less, you're just going to be in really bad situations. 20 is for multiplayer. You need 50 in Warzone. VLK laser 7 MW for aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and sprint to fire speed, the cost of the laser being visible in ADS. Like I said, the previous this weapon, if you just want to use a flashlight, feel free to use a flashlight. That way you won't have the cons of the laser. But if you want the VLK Laser 7MW, set the tuning to negative 24.68 feet and the sprint to fire speed to negative 0.23 ounces. Put on the rest to stock for sprint speed, crouch movement speed, aim walking speed, and aim down sight speed at the cost of aiming stability and recoil control. For the tuning, set the aiming out stability to 1.94 inches and the aim down sight speed to negative 1.94 ounces. The FJX Imperium is honestly the best sniper in my opinion. Like, this is the easiest weapon I've used in Warzone when it comes to sniping. Put on the no sound 90 for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed and aiming stability. Set the bullet velocity at 0.45 inches and the aim down sight speed to negative 1.40 ounces. Put on the 0.408 explosive for explosive impact. Basically, this just gets the job done for one-shotting. You don't actually have to tune this because, as you guys see, it doesn't really make much of a difference. If you want to tune it, feel free. I mean, in my opinion, it didn't make a difference whether I tune this or not. I feel like it just has more cons when you tune it. Put on the Fahrenheit 29-inch for damage range, hip fire accuracy, bullet velocity at the cost of aim down sight speed, and hip recoil control. To be honest, you can take this either way if you want more damage range or more aim down sight speed. And more aim down sight speed is not going to be that much of a difference. At the same time, more damage range is also not going to be much of a difference. So I would recommend just keeping it balanced. FJX Blast for rechambering speed. Now, this is just my personal preference. If you want to use more accuracy, feel free, but I think that the chambering speed is much more important than the accuracy if you're already accurate. FJX Kilo Taq for crouch movement speed, sprint speed, aim down sight speed, and sprint to fire speed at the cost of recoil control and blitz resistance. For the tuning, I set the aim down sight speed to negative 0.93 inches, and I did not change the weight. If you want to help the sprint to fire speed, you can. I mean, it's your preference. I just didn't think that it was that too much noticeable. Next is the Vel 46, aka the MP7. This thing is absolutely amazing still in Warzone. Put on the X10 RR40 for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed and aiming stability. Set the bullet velocity at 0.32 inches and do not change the weight. Put on the Schlager L203 barrel for damage range, hip fire accuracy, bullet velocity at the cost of aim down sight speed and hip recoil control. Set the damage range at 0.30 inches and once again do not change the weight. VLK Laser 7MW for aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and sprint to fire speed at the cost of the laser being visible in ADS. Unless you just want to use the flashlight, that's fine too. For the aim down sight speed, you set it to negative 20.40 feet and the sprint to fire speed negative 0.37 ounces. If you get down your first try, let me know in the comment section down below. Demo RXT stock for crouch movement speed, sprint speed, and aim down sight speed at the cost of some recoil control. For the tuning, set the aiming out stability at 1.70 inches and the aim down sight speed to negative 1.42 ounces. Schlager Soldier Grip for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed at the cost of recoil control. Set the sprint to fire speed to negative 0.20 inches and the aim down sight speed to negative 0.48 ounces. Next, the Taq 56. Put on the Harbinger D20 for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and aim walking speed. For the tuning, set the bullet velocity at 0.65 inches and the recoil smoothness at 0.72 ounces. 17.5 Tundra Pro Barrel for damage range, hip fire accuracy, bullet velocity at the cost of aim down sight speed, and hip recoil control. For the tuning, set the damage range at 0.17 inches and the recoil steadiness 0.15 pounds. FTAC Ripper 56 for aiming out stability, hip fire accuracy, and recoil stabilization at the cost of walking speed and aim down sight speed. Set aiming out stability at 0.22 inches and the weight to 0.23 ounces. 60 round mag. TV Cardinal stock for aim walking speed and sprint speed at the cost of aiming stability. Set the aim walking speed to negative 1.16 inches and the weight to negative 1.16 ounces. If you want an optic, just take off the TV Cardinal stock and put on the Aimot V4. Next is the Cronen Squall. This thing has basically unlimited range. You have to try this out. Put on the second Tread 40 for vertical and horizontal recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed and aiming stability. For the tuning, set the recoil control to 0.28 inches and the recoil stabilization to 0.59 ounces. HR 6.8 barrel for damage range, bullet velocity, recoil control, and hip fire accuracy at the cost of aim down sight speed, hip recoil control, and movement speed. Set the damage range to 0.37 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.39 pounds. 6.8 high velocity for bullet velocity at the cost of damage range. Set the bullet velocity at 8.71 GR and the damage range of 0.50 G. This is very precise. 50 round drum because there's no better alternative unless you're playing multiplayer. And Aimot V4, this is my personal preference. If you want to use something else, feel free, but this is what works for me. I maxed out the far distance. The Kastov 545 is absolutely amazing, so make sure you guys try this out. Harbinger D20 for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness at the cost of aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and aim walking speed. Set the bullet velocity at 0.39 inches and the recoil smoothness at 0.59 ounces. IGK 3406 millimeter for recoil control, bullet velocity, damage range, and hip fire accuracy at the cost of aim down sight speed, movement speed, and hip recoil control. Set the damage range of 0.23 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.18 pounds. 5.45 high velocity for bullet velocity at the cost of some damage range. Set the bullet velocity at 4.94 GR and the damage range of 0.23 G. 60 round mag, so this already makes it better than the Kastov 762 because you have way more bullets and a better fire rate. And Aimot V4, this is my personal preference. You can use anything you want to and just max out the fire distance.